I was the first grandson to work at the store, and actually the first grandchild to work at the store. They put me as cashier part-time, and I was the only male cashier. So I was a groundbreaker in the fight for equality for males in the cashier checkout position. And now today we have about equal numbers of males and females working at the register during the after-school hours.
I'm a third-generation owner of Cornell's hardware. I've been working here since I started walking, probably, coming in after school and always getting a lollipop from Madeline, our old bookkeeper first, who worked for us for God knows 50, 60 years.
You know, my first recollections of this store was actually coming in like early on Saturday mornings and stuff, and Dad just giving me a broom, and that was, you know, my here you go, you start at the bottom, here, push a broom around, you know. Basically, I guess as his father did to him, as Grandpa did.
It's been interesting. I think one of the things that I've brought to the business and even extended far beyond the hardware store here is my technology background. We've tried to be on the cutting edge, and that's really because it's sort of my passion for technology and trying to push the limits. We had a website up in '94, '95, probably one of the first hardware stores in the country to have online shopping. So we've pushed that technology as much as we can, and to this day, I'm always looking for the next thing. And so it makes it something beyond just the hardware business. It allows you to bring in some of your personality into the day-to-day business here at the store.
My passion is horseback riding, and in 1991, or actually 1983, we opened a corner of the housewares department. I pushed aside the Corningware and the clocks, and moved aside and started carrying horse equipment. And the horse equipment grew and grew and grew into its own freestanding store, which is where I'm standing right now. And it has many items in the store, as you can see.
The Great Nor'easter. Well, this was, you know, the 100-year storm. And what had happened is it was just, you know, the community was inundated. And I guess our customers were basically trying to get into the store. You know, we opened at 8 o'clock, and they were all waiting outside.
So when they had the big flood, I got here very early, so I was one of the first people to rent the pumps across the street. And then by the time I left, I think the pumps were already sold out or rented out at that time.
Anticipating the rush, what I did is I ran in the back door of the store, and I kind of dropped off my stuff at my desk, and I took a piece of paper, and I wrote like 1 to 20 down, and I just ripped it up, and I managed to catch our guy Rob, who was opening the store that Monday, and I said, Rob, here's some numbers, and just hand them out to the customers before you even put the key in the door, so they know that they're confident that they're going to get served in the order that they arrive there. And it was very, very good to see, because, you know, Rob just went out and handed the customers, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it made things for a lot more systematic and orderly chaos.
The truckers coming in the next morning. We started taking names and reservations, like, in order to get there. They wanted to come up in the trailer to get the vacuums while I was doing the truck the next morning. So it was like a hectic kind of week with all those type of stuff, because everybody waited to the last minute to get those stuff prepared.
It was on a Sunday morning when the phone rang, and my father answered, or my mother answered. I think it was my father answered it, and hollered out, "The store is on fire." So I jumped up and got dressed and ran downstairs, and the police car was there. The police car picked me up, and they drove me down to the store building, and I opened the back door for the firemen. They hadn't gone in yet in the back way, and that's when I remember. That was about 6 o'clock in the morning, and the fire was quite extensive at that time. The basement came out on a street level in the back, and you looked inside, and the flames were just rippling across the top of the ceiling, and it just was just a terrible sight. Jim Brennan stood out in the front of the store. You can see him in the picture. And he stood out there. Of course, you know, he showed his view from the back. But when I went up to talk to him, standing there, he was just, the tears were rolling down his face. It was quite a shock to him also, that the store burning down like that.
On September 11th, we had heard about the attack in New York. Actually, I think my brother Michael might have been the first one to give me a call, and we couldn't find out anything on the web because most of the websites were very, very slow. But then at some point in the early afternoon, the Eastchester Fire Department came in and basically bought us out of all the shovels we had and all the gloves and all the equipment we had because they were heading downtown to help out. And we just sold everything to them at cost and just built it all out and just got it out the door to help them out. And then over the next few weeks, there was sort of, as the search and rescue effort was going on down there, there was a lot of different stories that circulated, and one of them that was that people were collecting bottles of water and gloves and other supplies for the workers who were working down at Ground Zero. And it was amazing, the outpouring of community support where elderly customers who would probably hardly ever come in and shop for stuff for themselves were coming in and saying they wanted to buy a couple of pairs of gloves because they heard that the town was collecting gloves at Town Hall. And so they would come in, and we, for the 2 or 3 weeks after 9/11, we actually had set up our computer system so all our gloves were being sold at cost, just to, we weren't out to make any money on it, but we just couldn't keep them in stock. People were coming in, and at some point the town contacted us and said, no more gloves. People have been, the outpouring of support and the water and everything like that was just exceeding everybody's expectations and exceeding the need. And we actually had to, we had customers who would come in and say, oh, but I want to buy some gloves, and we told them, no, really, they don't need them anymore. They're good. And it was just amazing to see it from the perspective of, a local hardware store and how people were coming in and trying to do what they could.
It's a true neighborhood store, and one of the things they do is support neighborhood projects. I run the Traffic Expo and Kid Safety Day every year, and they've always been helpful in donating their goods and services to that cause. So it's a neighborhood place, and it's basically something that the neighborhood appreciates.
All right, Annie.
Thank
See
you.
on Monday.
Cornell's is a community store. All through the history that our family has had it, we've had people from the community, and we've actually had generations. I can think back to Sal and Joe Pepe working for us, and later on, Sal's son Mark came to work for us for a long time, and it was just, it's generational.
As in every place of business, there's been office romances. The most significant to me is I met my wife here at the hardware store. We hit it off and later became married and have had a wonderful 25 plus years. And in fact, she's now our bookkeeper.
We were good friends. Your brother, your father, my wife used to work here, I think for about 15 years too.
I think I'm the second generation Cornell shopper. My father was the first, and I have a strange feeling there's going to be a third generation of fixes that we'll be getting to know here in the future. I'm
looking forward to the day my fourth generation maybe wants to take over. I have a daughter that's very interested in horses and a son who seems to have a knack for salesmanship. My nieces also have been working here regularly, and I'm hoping that we can just keep this business going for another 100 years.
I think Cornell's going to continue to have a good future. I don't know how much room there is for expansion or what. We can just try to do a better job of what we're doing now, is what our main theme should be.